51 minutes after the hour, America. It's Hugh Hewitt, joined now by United States Senator Tom Cotton. Senator Cotton, welcome. I hope you enjoyed your visit to my home county of Orange County and the Flag Day there on the weekend.
Good morning, Hugh. It was good to be in Orange County. I told everyone there I waited to go speak at their big annual event until you had moved.
Well, I'm glad you got there finally. You spoke about terrorism. Tell people what you said.
Well, it was a somber day on Sunday night after the massacre in Orlando. And as you know, Hugh, at a partisan event like that, one normally rallies the troops and spreads a little partisan red meat, but it didn't seem appropriate given the events of the day. So I spoke a little bit about the threat of radical Islamic terrorism and what it means for us and what kind of enemy we're facing. And we have to face up to the facts of that enemy. There's still a lot of details that are unknown about what led up to the attack in Orlando, but it's clear it was an act of Islamic terrorism and probably was supported, inspired, maybe even facilitated by others besides the shooter, and that there's going to be steps that we have to take and questions we have to ask as a society if we want to live in peace and security.
Senator Cotton, earlier today, House member Chris Stewart, who's on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, said, quote, "I'll be shocked if there weren't others involved in this." And then we went on to talk about, there are two debates in this country, one about terrorism, one about gun control. I think the gun control debate is useful when it's Aurora, when it's Newtown, when it is a Mother Emanuel attack, and people have gotten access to weapons they shouldn't have. It is secondary when you're talking about an Islamist terrorist, like another one who struck in France last night with a knife and killed a police officer and his wife on Facebook. There are different discussions, and the priority has to be on understanding and charting who these people are, where they are, and the rising threat. Or do you disagree with me?
No, I agree. The most urgent matter is to appreciate the nature of the enemy, an enemy that we've now faced for 15 years. And too often in times in between these attacks, especially if the attacks are spaced far apart or not on our own shores, some people tend to forget about just how savage and bloodthirsty Islamic terrorists are. Many people yesterday on TV were questioning the motivations of the shooter because he apparently had claimed allegiance not only to the Islamic State, but expressed affinity for Hezbollah, which are two groups that are sometimes opposed, Sunni and Shiite, as if it really matters to us. They're all radical Islamists who want to kill Americans and who reject everything for which America stands because it does not comport with their radical totalitarian theology.
And they're pointing out today he might have been a self-loathing gay who attended the Pulse often and had been dating men before, but he'd been married twice, and that's, of course, not... Could just be beards, could be covers. Nevertheless, it doesn't get to the point that terrorists can lie. The Hezbollah thing, the Sanar brothers, the Al-Qaeda is not ISIS, all of that avoids the obvious question of, is he trained to do that? And that's the deep and dark web. You're on Senate Intel. You can't tell us what we're doing. But do you think most Americans understand these aren't bozos? They're highly sophisticated people in ISIS land running these agents?
The Islamic State has a very capable propaganda and information operation team, and I don't think we should take at face value much of what this shooter or his father or those who might have been associated with him were sympathetic to radical Islam say until we let our law enforcement and our intelligence officers investigate the facts more fully. But what we do know is that this is just yet another instance of radical Islamic terrorism, and this time gays were targeted at a gay nightclub, I'm certain, because of the radical rejectionist theology to which he subscribed, just like the Islamic State throws gays off the tops of buildings in Iraq, just like the Ayatollahs in Iran hang them from construction cranes. They would do that as well to women, to children, to Christians, to Jews, even to their fellow Muslims who reject that radical theology.
And so, moving forward, the House wants to debate today a bill banning guns for sale to people on the watch list. That's unconstitutional because the watch list doesn't have due process attached to it. I'm sure you don't mind keeping guns out of the hand of known terrorists, but Senator Cotton, where ought the debate to be focused right now?
This is a debate we had back in December after the San Bernardino shootings, and Senator John Cornyn of Texas proposed a very reasonable alternative that would require a short waiting period and probable cause, which is the constitutional standard, for instance, of issuing a warrant before someone could be denied the purchase of a firearm. But to my knowledge, I don't know of any gun control law that has ever stopped a terrorist attack. France, for instance, has much stricter gun control laws than does America, and that didn't stop the massacres at the Bataclan Theater back in November. The focus has to be on the nature of the enemy, not the nature of the weapons they use. And we are in a existential struggle with radical Islamic jihadis who would kill us in any way, in any setting. And until we appreciate that, until we take the necessary steps, not just to fight off these kind of attacks on our shores, but also go on offense in Iraq and Syria and Libya and deny them safe havens and to take out their leaders, to take out some of these key facilitators, we may continue to see these attacks.
And in any numbers. They would kill us all despite our background, and in as many numbers that they could reach. Senator Tom Cotton, good to talk to you. Glad you made it to Orange County. Good to have you back in D.C. Don't go anywhere, America.